I don't know if they think we're funny. I think it's funny. I told you about that. One, it's all, I most other people who as well. Just a plain old paper for it. Or six, not paper, but a little quarter in there, not a center. Underneath, in a room, the other people came in. They suspected that would happen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chair calls to order the Board of Trustees meetings for the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District. I ask that we please bow our head for a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Colleagues, it's my understanding that the interim superintendent would like to add a standard services contract from MBSU to the agenda. Is that correct, Mr. Brooks? So colleagues, if you will, and you should have this as a separate attachment, Ms. Rimmer, that's correct, on your desk. If it's pleasing to the board, we'll add that as 12.2. 12.2. Colleagues, or is there anything that you would like to add to the agenda at this time? Seeing nothing. Anything else, Mr. Brooks? That's it. All right. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the necessary addition of 12.2. Quick question, just one question. Attorney Palmer, Mrs. Lewis has asked under consideration of executive session that we potentially discuss safety and security. However, would that be something that needs to be added now, or can we just determine once we go into executive session if it is an executive session matter?
Dr. Bailey, that can be determined once we go into executive session as one of the items that the board can consider to go into executive session.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of 12.2.
So move.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Approval with policy updates. I know Ms. Rimmer, you sent us needed update as it pertains to something that MSBA has recently updated. Attorney Palmer, do you have that information?
Dr. Bailey, is that the one that we discussed during the work session?
It is.
I've reviewed it.
You have?
I have.
Are there any questions or concerns, or the board can go ahead and act on adopting that policy? That's what I'm looking for now. Remember, by chance, did you email all the board members that particular policy that we needed to? Is already in the back. Okay. Political activity update. By chance, do you know any information about what was changed? Okay. So as it pertains to policy GAHB, Attorney Palmer, political activity of staff members, does everything appear to be in order from your review?
Dr. Bale, I'm trying to pull it up. Dr. Bailey, what page is that?
Page 8.
I'm not seeing that as a part of my board pack. Oh, okay. Dr. Bailey, everything appears to be in order.
All right, colleagues, based upon the information that has been provided by Ms. Murmer and the support of that item and indicating that everything is in order by Attorney Palmer regarding this policy, are there any questions?
I do have a question.
Mrs. Lewis?
Mr. Brooks, can you advise if that particular policy has been disseminated to the school administrators?
It has not.
Okay, is there a plan or will it be disseminated?
We wanted the board to look at it first.
Thank you.
Any other questions, colleagues? Hearing none, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the updated policy of GAHB as recommended by MSBA. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Number 4, Mr. Brooks.
Approval of school board meetings.
Colleagues, beginning on page 12, you have the minutes from September the 5th as well as September the 27th. Is that correct, Ms. Rimmer? Okay. Attorney Palmer, have you had opportunity to review the minutes?
I have.
I believe you're having some microphone.
Everything appears to be in order.
All right. Colleagues, are there any questions? Hearing none, your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
Interim superintendent recommends school board approval of the September 5th, 2023 regular school board meeting and the September 27th, 2023 work session minutes.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Brooks, number 6.
Number 5.
I apologize. Number 5. Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Interim superintendent's report.
Colleagues, there are 7 bullets. Wait. Oh, there are 7 bullets, colleagues. Are there any bullets that you want any additional information on? Are the documents supporting this provided, Mr. Brooks?
They are.
Or is there anything that you want to kind of highlight in your report, Mr. Brooks?
No.
All right, colleagues, are there any questions regarding the interim superintendent's report?
Yes, Mr. President, I do, see where the Mississippi, we have a district employee that is now a part of the Mississippi Literacy Leadership Network. Can we expound on that?
Yes. Mississippi Literacy Leadership Network. Ms. Mary Johnson. Stand up, Ms. Johnson. MDE chose 8 district administrators across the state to serve on a panel to make decisions on curriculum in the area of literacy. They chose Ms. Mary Johnson, Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District Curriculum Director, as one of the 8 in the state. She will be attending her first meeting on October the 16th in Pearl, Mississippi. Ms. Johnson, would you like to say anything about your appointment?
I thank y'all for the opportunity to be a voice for our babies in the Mississippi Delta. And indeed, I consider it just a great honor, considering the fact that it was for the whole state of Mississippi and only 8 administrators was chosen to serve, and someone from Greenwood for Consolidated School District was chosen. So I just thank God.
Mrs. Johnson, on behalf of the board, congratulations, and we know you will represent us well. Any other questions, colleagues? Hearing none, your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
Interim superintendent recommends school board approval of the superintendent's report.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
This has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Number 6 now? Number 6, Mr. Brooks. That was part of his superintendent's
recognition of Greenwood Middle School 2022-23 MAAP assessment perfect scores. Mr. Taylor, are you here? Mr. Taylor's not here. Ms. Brownlee, you were there last year, so could you represent, please?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
We're gonna recognize there were 6 students at Greenwood Middle School last year who actually scored a perfect score on the math test. We're gonna recognize those students tonight. Mr. Alex West. Come out front, Alex. And there are several students that are not here. I'm gonna start with them because they're not here, and I'm gonna give y'all the last one last because she belongs to me. Eric Walls was another one. He's a football player at Greenwood Middle School, so I'm pretty sure he's not here for that purpose. Who else was it? What's my young lady name? Chaya, come on, help me. Chaya Brownlee was also a perfect scorer at Greenwood Middle School. She had a perfect score on the math test. I think she did that from her mama. Gabriella Marino, Chloe Ferguson, and Martavius Benford. She knows all of them. But those were the 6 students who had a perfect score in the 7th grade. They're currently 8th grade. There were some 8th graders who were also 9th graders that had perfect scores as well. Oh, the parents of these students, if you're in the audience, would you please stand? And some of their family members are here. We are extremely proud of these students within the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District, and we hope to see more of them.
Hey, get a shot of the parents too. Parents, come on up. Be proud of your children. Come on up. Yeah, claim your child. Go get your child. All right.
And students and parents, on behalf of the board, congratulations. Keep up the outstanding work.
Good job.
I think the only thing I ever got perfect was maybe attendance here and there. So awesome job. And as Coach
Dr.
Fan-
Bailey,
Yes, ma'am.
I heard parents and I heard students' names, but who was our teacher's name? I didn't hear her name called.
The teacher, would be Angela Robinson, he's not in the audience today, but he was one of those, teachers, as well as Ms. Karen Hunt.
Awesome. And then-
Our teachers work just as hard, if not harder. So it is appropriate that we acknowledge those our foot soldiers. Thank you, teachers, for all that you do.
Number 7, Mr. Brooks.
Approval of MOU for Teen Pregnancy Program, Delta Better Futures.
And that begins on page 30, if I'm not mistaken, colleagues.
29.
29.
Page 30. You need a mic? I apologize for our system. I think it's because of the screen. It's not built for this.
Good evening, board. I am Latoya Dixon here representing Delta Health Alliance. We have been serving LaFleur County for several years, and I'm just here to see if we can get the MOU removed so we can continue our services.
Any questions, colleagues?
Yes, I want to know, and thank you for everything Delta Health Alliance does. In the process of the curriculum, is contraception taught?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions, colleagues? Thank you so much, Ms. Dixon.
Thank you.
Your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
Interim Superintendent recommends consideration to approve the MOU between Delta Health Alliance and Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District for the Teen Pregnancy Prevention Program, Delta Better Futures.
Point of clarity, are you recommending approval?
I am.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay, only based on religious purposes. I'm very appreciative of what Delta Health Alliance does.
Yes, ma'am. Duly noted. Ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Brooks.
Approval of Mississippi Delta at-risk youth consultant, Sean Pearson.
Colleagues, Mr. Pearson made a presentation to us during our work session. Included in the pack is the description of services as well as the payment for services. Are there any questions? Seeing none? Your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
I have no, not that. This was, a board decision.
So what Mr. Brooks has indicated is that if you look in your pack, there's not a superintendent's recommendation included with this particular item. Mr. Brooks indicated it's the board's decision, so are you asking that the board considers if this is an item that the district moves forward with or not? The only issue with that is the recommendation has to come from you, either up or down, and then the board will determine if they, support the recommendation or not. Because again, of course, the board can't get into day-to-day operations. I will say, as I did during the work session, the concerns for me are the cost associated with this endeavor. I believe the contract is asking us to go from October through June, where I would be a bit more comfortable if we maybe had something along the lines of 2 months or 3 months, so we could get to kind of know each other.
I would make a recommendation.
Yes, sir.
The interim superintendent recommends that the board approve, the, contract for engaging youth in the Mississippi Delta program.
Colleagues, are there any questions? Seeing none? Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
We'll just do a vote by roll call. Aye, Rashawn Bailey.
Nay, Jackie Lewis.
Aye, Kalonji Moore.
Henry Fant.
Nay, Magdalene Abraham.
Ayes have it, motion carries.
Dr. Bell, I
Yes,
would
ma'am.
like to make one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
My nay is based on there was no absolute payment method. Also, I don't think there was enough information, given on the program.
Yes, ma'am. And also, with regards to this, Attorney Palmer, can you work with the district? There appears to be like no formal contract with this item to kind of work that out, if that's applicable, Mr. Brooks.
And
Yes, ma'am.
another question is, did it pass on the entire, amount of money, or
Well,
are you all gonna go back and look at it at a month, or?
That's gonna be the superintendent's recommendation. I believe the recommendation was that we enter into this contract or services with Mississippi Delta at-risk youth consultants, and based upon what has been presented, the board acted on what has been presented by the interim superintendent.
Okay, but you still don't have a definite, right? Is that right?
Well, Mr. Brooks can tell us the definite now, because according to this, it's October through June. And that's on page 41. And again, I think that's where the contract will come into play if Mr. Brooks sees fit to do a smaller time frame at a reduced amount. As the superintendent, he has the authority to do that. Of course, he couldn't exceed this amount, which was board approved, and this timeline, which has been board approved.
So that would require another, board approval?
I don't believe so, but I'm going to defer to Attorney Palmer, because again, he's not exceeding a date, or potentially not exceeding dates as well as expenses.
So, Mr. President, and Board, my understanding is that the superintendent recommended approval of contract for services with Mississippi Delta At-Risk Youth Consultants, Inc., based on the information that's provided. As you indicated, there is no contract. There's really a proposal for services. So that would really be up to the superintendent as to what length of time those services are provided to the district.
But would we have to approve of the contract itself?
Generally, Ms. Abraham, a contract would be presented to be ratified by the board. In this particular instance, for whatever reason, there is no contract or memorandum of understanding.
Any other questions, colleagues? Seeing none. Number 9, Mr. Brooks.
'16 session report. Ms. Washington. Ms. Washington's not here today. She did give a report in the work session. If there are any questions, I see if I can provide an answer.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Moore, the floor is yours.
Washington is not here today. I move that if it can be done, Mr. Brooks, that we table 16th section report for today, and if a special call is needed to handle our 16th section report, then that's what I would agree to.
Is that fine with you, Mr. Anderson?
That's fine.
Attorney Palmer, is that appropriate? All right. Chair will entertain a motion that we table the 16th section. Sorry.
Oh, you said entertain a motion, I apologize.
Chair will entertain a motion to table the 16th section report.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Colleagues, please forgive me, but it's my understanding that Mr. Taylor is not present, and we may need to go back to number 6, if that is correct. If so, I yield the floor to Mr. Brooks and Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Taylor.
Good evening to the superintendent, Assistant Superintendent of the School Board, thank you for indulging me. I apologize for running a little late, had an issue at the school. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to come again. I'd like to thank Ms. Brownlee for moving along in our stead. I just want to take a little time and introduce teachers and students who were a part of our school becoming a successful school this past year. We were able to increase our performance from 273 to C level 360, acquiring the most points for an increase in the district. So we're very, very proud of the middle school, and we're exceptionally, insanely proud of these 10 students who are here today who scored perfect scores. Just to put that in the frame for you, Cleveland School District had a celebration for all of their students who scored perfect, and there were only 21 in the entire district. I'm blessed and fortunate enough to have 10 in just my one school, so I'm really, really excited. I know they've been recognized, but I think a couple more have come in along with a teacher who was responsible. I would like all students who scored 799 or 899 on their state test to come forward again. I'd also like Mr. O and Ms. Robertson, if she's here, to come as well. Mr. O, will you help me? The certificate says, in honor of your outstanding performance on the 22-23 MAP assessment, 8th grade mathematics or 7th grade mathematics perfect score, and the score is listed at the bottom. Marcellus Hill, Michelle Green, Amberlyn Austin, Kennedy Freeman, Alex West, Eric Walls Jr., Chloe Ferguson, Gabriella Marino, Martavius Benford, and Chaya Brownlee. In addition to their certificates, I just want you to know these exceptional honors were all in the area of math. We got a little more work to do in ELA, it's a little tougher, but these were all in math. We were supported last year in math by the Kirkland Group, provided consultative services to our teachers and help to our students. And in light of this success, Ms. Carla Kirkland donated $100 per student for this accomplishment. I'd like to hand deliver these myself. That's $100 per student.
And again, young men and young ladies, on behalf of the board, congratulations, and we are extremely proud of each of you.
Dr. Bailey?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, to our educators, while the Kirkland Group is appreciated, our educators are employed in our district. They could be in any other district in the Mississippi Delta region, but they are located here in the Greenwood-LaFleur Consolidated District, and therefore we thank you for your services.
Mr. Taylor, you got to get the teachers some $100 gift cards too, right, Mr. O? Okay, all right. Great job, great job.
$200.
And number 10, Mr. Brooks.
Bailey update.
Mr. Kipper,
My-
Good evening, can you hear me?
we can barely hear you.
Let's turn up the volume. Is that better?
It may be something on our end. Is it-
But test one more time.
That's better. That's better. You can proceed, Mr. Kipper.
All right, you should have your board report in front of you. I'll be brief and just kind of hit the highlights. On the restroom renovation project, as I had mentioned, I think last month, the base contract work at all schools is substantially complete, and their focus now is the change order work. And one of the changes that was recently approved by the board was the painting of the restrooms, so that should be ongoing. And in that project, we had some contingency monies, and I think we still have about $127,000. And we're looking to maybe do some ceiling improvements at some of the schools with that remaining money. They're pricing those changes now. At the HVAC work, again, on that project, Upchurch is still focusing primarily on the 2 Threadgill schools, and then also doing some work at the high school in Bankston, but the 2 Threadgill schools are the primary target. They are still tracking to finish that work by the end of January of 24, and then the other 2 schools hopefully by March, April 1st at the latest of 24 for that work. The window project, as you know, we bid that project in late August. We came to the board, you guys voted to award that contract to Ramsey to do Threadgill Elementary. That contract is in process. It's been signed by the contractor and it's been sent to the district for review and approval and hopefully signature. Lastly, on the carpet project, that too had been recently bid. The board recently, last month or so, approved awarding that to Paul Jackson and Son for the base bid and the add alternate of painting those walls. That contract has been fully executed, and we're now in the process of trying to get the pre-construction meeting scheduled with the district and the contractor to figure out how we're going to plan to minimize disruption to any, any school activities. Hopefully that meeting, it's been difficult to get everybody together at the same time, but we're shooting now for next week to have that meeting. From a budget standpoint, the main things I would tell you is that for ESSER 2, we have met the obligation deadline of September 30th by getting that carpet contract signed and working with Ms. House. I believe all the purchase orders and everything were enacted, and so your full allotment of $11.49 million for ESSER 2 work has been obligated, and now we'll work to get it spent in implementing those projects. Also, with what we've awarded and the window project and some of the overage on the carpet project, we now have soon to have obligated $17.1 million, 17.16 of the $18 million. So we have about $838,000 remaining in your ESSER 3 funds that has not been obligated. That at this point, I'm recommending that we kind of hold tight and use it for contingencies in some of these projects. And then as we get a little bit further down the road, we could consider things like more HVAC work, maybe at some other schools. I know Mr. Howard's looking at that, and we're pricing some of those things for him for future consideration of those remaining funds. I know that was quick. Any questions?
Elise, are there any questions for Mr. Pipper? Mr. Pipper, are there any action items for tonight, or we're fine at this point?
No, sir, we're fine. We're just trucking along with construction and trying to get those other 2 started.
If there are no questions for Mr. Pipper, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing the information with us.
All right, thank you. Good evening.
You too. At this time, we will open the floor for any public comments. Did anybody sign in for that? No. There are none. Number 12, Ms. Brooks, 12.1.
approval to accept the bid for the athletic department.
That begins on page 46, and the quote is actually on page 47. Yes, ma'am, Mrs. Lewis.
Okay, I'm looking at the, executive summary, and it indicates Greenwood High School and LaFleur County High School, but on the actual, I guess bid quote, it only says Greenwood High School.
So under the
Yes,
description,
this is a bid to do just Greenwood. The floor will come at a later date.
so it costs that amount of money to do one floor?
Yes.
Do we know anything about the other bids?
But it's not a bid, it's a
Wait,
quote.
it's two schools, both schools. Same price for both schools.
They didn't indicate on here.
Well, they did run a notice, a public notice.
I see that.
So there were no other, okay, so it should be a bid instead of a quote.
Are we saying that price gonna cover two schools or just one school? Same price, each school same price?
Do we know where the funds will be coming from to support this project?
Ms. Thomas, can you address that?
As far as I know, I think they're trying to use the 16th section funds that y'all allocate.
And will this work be completed by the beginning of basketball season or for both schools? Any other questions, colleagues? Dr. Moore?
I do have a question, Mr. President. Ms. Thomas, funding, coming from 16th section. I do know that, a couple of years back, we, used some 16th section funding for our students, in the school. So how are we looking in regard to our base funding for 16th section?
I gave you the report that showed the balance last time, but I didn't bring them this time.
And that was the balance for the.
At the end of FY23.
For the 16th section?
Mhm.
And we're talking strictly interest, correct?
Mhm.
My question, did 16 section interest get reimbursed from the previous
The
loan?
money for the payroll? Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay.
Are there any other questions, colleagues? And just for clarification, the reason Amanda Ailes is not here is because their floor was recently, okay. No other questions, colleagues? Your recommendation, Mr. Brooks?
I'm saying it's like warranty of this work. I'm sorry.
You're fine, Ms. Abraham.
What about the warranty on it?
I don't know if they give you warranty on the basketball court, but I'm gonna defer to the experts.
I can't give you an answer. I don't know.
I do have a question. So is this work absolutely necessary at this time? Since we just spoke about during the work session, we didn't have any money for tutors. So
Yes,
my
ma'am.
question would be, is it absolutely necessary at this time?
Yes, ma'am. We're preparing for basketball season. We really should have done those floors before volleyball season. We were able to host our volleyball games at Greenwood High. So we're talking about PE classes on these floors, volleyball season and basketball season. It's past time for the floors to be done. In certain spots, it's warped. Mr. Brooks and myself, we visited the schools to look at the floors, and at this point, it is a safety hazard, and we are in danger of not being able to play our games on these floors. That will provide a great hindrance to us traveling for every game. We have 3 junior high basketball teams, 3 high school teams, so we have 6 teams playing at one time. And if you count volleyball, that's 3, so potentially we could have 9 teams on these 3 floors, or at the high school. That's a lot of traffic. There's more traffic. Typically, you would do some upkeep on your floors during the summer anyway, and so it's past time.
So, the junior high schools, they
Yes,
don't access their own gyms?
The high school gym is their gym. We're sharing. I mean, middle school is different, but we're sharing a lot of spaces. And then when we have the inclement weather, we have the football teams who also use the gym, so that's more wear and tear. Also, we have the baseball teams, the tennis teams, when they can't play outside, who are accessing those gyms. And to the question that you stated before, where were we with the finances? The amount of money, or the money that was allocated from 16 sections specifically for athletics, we've spent less than 25% of that, which was allowed. And we do have that in the email, we can pull it for you, but we've only spent less than 25%. And if we purchase it and get the work done on this floor, we will still be below that 25% threshold.
Any other questions, colleagues? Ms. Brown?
Now, I'm just trying to figure out how we got a bid, a quote for materials on the floor, when that's not the business of this letter that says.
They've done work for the district on the floors before. At this time, it's very difficult to get companies out. We've advertised before. Typically, normally they like to do it during the summer. We do have a 2-week time frame where we can't be on the floor, touch the floor. We've kind of dealing with that right now with Amanda Elsie. We've had some low grade work done. Next year, we will be able to play volleyball there. And hopefully in the future, all 3 schools at one time. But right now, we're wearing out Greenwood High's floor. And the floor, you know, it just needs some work.
Dr. Moore? Any other questions, colleagues?
I just think
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need to have this needs to be corrected.
And to that end, Ms. Lewis, in email, we do have a bid or a quote for each school. There's just one in your packet for Greenwood High, but we can definitely get you the one for LaFleur High. We're taking great time and consideration to look at the floors and consider pricing, but again, we're at 25% of the allowable amount for 16 section for athletics.
I do know I stated at our work session, or maybe a meeting prior to that, I just, you know, if we're going to be spending money, I'm not saying that it's not happening, but let's triangulate in communication with our offices to ensure that our funding is there. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the explanation.
Your recommendation, Mr. Brooks?
The interim superintendent recommends that the board consider approval to accept the bid for gym floors from Brady Signs and Graphics in the amount of $43,500.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon this interim superintendent's recommendation.
So,
Second. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Now we have 12.2, colleagues, which was the standard services contract. Mr. Brooks?
MVSU standard service contract that was added to the agenda.
Colleagues, are there any questions about the packet that has been presented? Attorney Palmer, have you had opportunity to review it?
I have.
All is in order?
It is.
Okay. Any questions, colleagues?
None.
Your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
The interim superintendent recommends school board approval of the agreement with MVSU Outward Bound 1 and the G8 Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District to provide transportation services for eligible students.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Next, colleagues, we have the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes items 13.1 through 13.14. I will allow for a second for you all to review that documentation, and if there is a question about anything, certainly feel free to ask. Please be reminded that these items were discussed during our work session.
I do have a question.
Ms.
Mr. Brooks, Ms. Thomas provided us with a report on fundraisers. However, it is not inclusive of our schools. Can we get a monthly report that includes all schools with all fundraisers?
I'm sure that can be arranged.
And is it possible to get the remaining schools, their reports before next month?
Before next month?
Because I requested to see this monthly, because we have so many fundraisers that we're approving. So I would like to see the money coming in and what's going out.
Okay. Ms. Thomas?
The only comment that I have is the only reason why all schools are not on there is because we haven't received money. Those are the only schools that we've received funds for that said that they've completed fundraisers.
So just point of clarification. Now, Ms. Thomas, you said they have completed fundraisers. So is the expectation of your office, under the leadership of the superintendent, is that the reports or the monies are only turned in once the fundraisers are completed?
They are to turn in money as they collect it. Every day that they collect money, they are supposed to bring it to
So
us.
we're not following our own policies and procedures.
Nope.
Can we get on that, Mr. Brooks?
I will.
In that case, that would allow for Mrs. Lewis to potentially get the report. Would that help, Ms. Thomas? Works for Ms. Lewis. And then my question is in regards to these expenditures for athletics. I do know that athletics can be costly, considering everything that goes into it. But what are the schools doing, administrators, coaches, or whomever, to make sure that we maximize the opportunity for profit? For example, at LaFleur, back in the day, there was a tarp around the fence to require people to pay to come in the game. But there is no tarp anymore. And we can stand outside across the street and watch the game. And that's lost revenue. So are the schools or the athletic director, anybody doing anything to kind of maximize the potential for profit? Because we may as well get on 82 and get in a bus and just throw money out the window. Understood. Now, prices be based upon max capacity? Because these numbers here, we'll never break even. I'd be happy to break even. We can't even make money.
I was told the tarp was on campus, but it just wasn't put up around the center.
So can we ask our administrators?
I would check into that.
To just look into maybe seeing how we can maximize profits. Again, we may not make any money, but Ms. Thomas, you'll sleep better if we could break even, correct? All right. Any other comments, colleagues, or questions? We'll begin at 13.1 and we will end at 13.14. And in regards to 13.14, I know the administration was asked about some type of waiver for those volunteers. Were we able to get that taken care of, Attorney Palmer, or?
We have on your desk, proposed contract that we wanted the board to look at.
Attorney Palmer, you had an opportunity to review this?
Not yet, but I can, peruse. Dr. Bailey, this is fine.
Is this an item that the board needs to take action on, or does the administration have the autonomy to include this with the application that is presented for the volunteers?
Since it is a document based upon a concern of a board member, I would recommend that it be approved by the board.
So colleagues, if you will, I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda to include this volunteer community service application is 13.15. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Colleague, I will now entertain a motion to accept the amended agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. So at this point, colleagues, under the consent agenda, Ms. Rimmer, we're going to start with 13.1 and we will go through 13.15. Any other questions about anything, colleagues? Seeing none, your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
The interim superintendent recommends consideration to approve GLCSD. To approve the consent agenda. Interim superintendent recommends that the board approve the consent agenda.
Before there's a,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to find out, I'm trying to make sure fixed assets is not in there. Where is, fixed assets? Cause we had to report.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim. Please let the record reflect that Dr. Moore has recused herself as well. Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Dr. Moore, you can return. Our next item is personnel. Mr. Brooks, but Mrs. Lewis had a question, if it's okay with you. Mrs. Lewis.
I may be looking over it, but is there an item on here, in reference to fixed assets?
No, but we are prepared to talk about that.
Okay, I know we talked about that at the work session, about getting an update.
So, Mr. Brooks, if you would, instead of having us amend the agenda again, would fixed asset come under your interim superintendent's report? Is that okay? All right. So we'll go back to the interim superintendent's report for the fixed asset report.
Mr. Mitchell?
And while Mr. Mitchell is coming, colleagues, I want to remind you that parents in public schools have included a flyer in regards to a health resource fair that they'll be sponsoring on November the 4th.
Good afternoon. Fixed asset update. We have 3 strategies for success in the fixed assets department. Strategy 1 will be proper tagging and inventory for the GLCSD. That means the new equipment being tagged before delivery. Transfer is having all necessary paperwork and signatures before moving equipment. The second strategy will be school level binders. We're gonna, at every school, we're gonna have binders that must include purchase order forms and inventory sheets for all items. We're gonna ensure that the school binders coincide with the inventory assigned to various buildings and schools. We're also gonna make sure that each teacher and classroom have accurate inventory sheets posted. Our third strategy will be the disposal list. That's gonna be purging Marathon, labeling and disposing of all items Marathon that has been board approved. And we also gonna update the conditioning of certain inventories. For example, we have a lot of inventory that was in Marathon that was labeled, that was probably purchased back in 2010, and it still was being labeled as great condition. And what that means is that if an auditor comes in and looks for some of that material or equipment, and that equipment can't be found, we have to pay the purchase price for it, even though that equipment is 10 or 15 years old. So you have to go in for every item, and if we had it for 10 years, we have to put it like poor or in bad condition. Just another update, the fixed asset department is working to ensure that all the inventory in GLCSD is being accounted for and is in proper location. We have tagged a great deal of inventory ranging from band equipment to the maintenance department equipment and computers. We are working with school level personnel, principals, and fixed asset appointees to implement a system that will work flawlessly to make sure we are accountable for the inventory assigned to our schools and buildings, while at the same time making sure that it is in its proper location. With this system in place, we'll be prepared for external and internal audits for both district and federal departments. The school and the district office fixed asset binders will mirror each other to ensure accuracy. The fixed asset department will conduct several in-house audits checks throughout the year to make sure that the school level process is working smoothly and the inventory is being continuously entered properly and updated correctly. It is our desire of the fixed asset department to be accountable for all inventory belonging to GLCSD and to ensure that it is entered into our database, which is Marathon, timely and proper. For your info, we are preparing now for a federal audit of Title III. On October 9th, 2023, we were able to locate and identify inventories purchased with this particular fund number, so we are anticipating a good visit.
Mr. Mitchell, have you all completed any schools yet?
Have we completed any schools as far as walkthrough? We have, East Middle School, we did that. That's how we were able to come back with that disposable list that the board just did the previous month, because we was able to walk through their school and put our hands on everything that was there. So we're in the process, because of personnel, we're in the process of going through every other school.
I just have a concern about fixed assets. I think we lose a lot of money in that area, and it's been a constant problem for years, not being able to keep up with the equipment. And so we've lost a lot of money. And we buy a lot of equipment that doesn't really get to where it used to go to. That's what I'm saying. So, and I know it takes a lot of people to make sure that that equipment is accounted for and in the right place. So that's kind of why we wanted an update to see exactly what's going on with it. Because I think we purchased that band equipment last year, and it's just getting tagged.
No, some of this band equipment that we got now was presented through a grant or something, the one that we just had come in. When I said some of it was getting tagged, I think that came from a grant.
Okay.
What came last year, I wouldn't have no knowledge of that. And as far as, like you said, I think that is what the school district is trying to do when they tackle fixed asset. In the past, because I was of technology, yeah, a lot of equipment did come up missing sometimes. But the things with computers that we don't understand, and the reason a lot of it wasn't being updated is because you get a computer that will last 7 or 8 years. But you got a computer that's sitting out there that's 15 years old, that's still on your fixed asset. That needs to be on the disposal list. So at the time, yeah, a lot of times in the past, you may not be able to locate that computer no more. And being of technology, what we would do is take that old computer, take a part out of it, and put it into another computer so that it'll be operable. So yeah, a lot of times some of you probably wouldn't see that fixed asset number. And then a lot of times we have kids that'll pull those stickers off. So when you go looking for an item, you don't see it because of the stickers no longer there. So I think that's why they addressed fixed asset, was because of a lot of equipment that was not being accounted for. And I think since I've taken on this task, we haven't had any reports of any equipment or any inventory that hadn't been located.
Thank you.
Any other questions, colleagues?
I have one question.
Dr. Moore?
How often will our district be, administering those audit checks?
Well, actually, I think it was the rule of thumb as far as internal myself
Okay.
would be probably twice a year. And that was probably like when school first started. And, well, it would be 3 times. School first started, then it would be after the Christmas holiday when we're going into the new year. And then at the end of the school year, every teacher has to sign off. The principal has every teacher sign off ensuring that their equipment is there. So I think that would be a form of check also.
Thank you.
Mhm.
No other questions? Thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
Thank you.
14.1, Mr. Brooks?
Special education and homebound services.
Colleagues, are there any questions? And that's on page 185, if I'm not mistaken. Hearing none, your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
Interim superintendent recommends that the school board approve the homebound services regarding the rules and regulations of IDEA and for the implementation of IEPs and services as these items are required by the Office of Special Education.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. 14.2, Mr. Brooks.
Personnel recommendations.
And this begins on page 188 and goes through 191. Is that correct, Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Colleagues, questions, concerns?
Yes,
ma'am.
on the school safety officers, we are replacing 2? 3? Well, that's a concern. I remember Mr. Pant brought up a few months ago, and we had one person we lost, and they went to a promotional situation professionally. We've got 3 that have resigned.
No. One was.
One died? Oh, I apologize, yes, okay. But the other 2 resigned?
Any additional questions, colleagues? Hearing none, your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
The interim superintendent recommends school board approval of the 2023-24 personnel list on the attached sheets.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. 14.3, Mr. Brooks.
Approval of the winter sport recommendations.
That begins on page 193. Questions? And I believe there may be an updated sheet. Is that correct, Ms. Rimmer? That was provided. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Mr. Brooks, your recommendation.
The interim superintendent recommends consideration to approve the winter sport recommendations for 2023-24.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Ayes have it, motion carries. And I'm sorry, I should have said nay instead of aye, but. 14.4, Mr. Brooks.
IEP development.
Any questions? Seeing none, your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
Interim superintendent recommends that the school board approve the staff for IEP development based on the rules and regulations of IDEA and for the implementation of IEPs as these items are required by the Office of Special Education.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation. So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Brooks.
Recommendation for Ms. Parker as the Title IX coordinator.
Any questions, colleagues? Mr. Brooks, I just ask that we, as a district, make sure that we provide Ms. Parker with the necessary training for this position because Title IX laws and regulations change. So let's just make sure we provide her with the necessary professional development.
We are providing
Awesome.
a lot of.
You can never get too much with Title IX. Any other questions, colleagues? That right, Attorney Palmer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your recommendation, Mr. Brooks.
Interim superintendent recommends consideration to approve Ms. Parker as the Title IX coordinator for the Greenwood, LeFleur Consolidated School District for stipend of $5,000.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. 15, Mr. Brooks.
Monthly financial report.
Colleagues, you have the claims docket, statement of revenue, statement of expenditure, budget status, bank reconciliations, cash flow statement, statement of fund balance, combined balance sheet, and bank reconciliations. That's correct, Ms. Thomas? There you go. Mrs. Lewis.
Ms. Thomas, claim number 956479.
They had to do some repairs on that floor from, I guess, a previous, when it was done, something happened. I'm not sure what happened, but I think it was bucking or something.
The installation of the pole so that we can have volleyball games. Volleyball nets go inside of the pool, some posts. That was the completion of the installation of the posts. So the best we could get the posts and have volleyball games on that pool.
Were there any other quotes on that?
I'm not sure.
It was 2 other quotes.
And that was the lowest?
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Lewis.
One other one, Ms. Thomas, 956590. I just wrote them down.
It's going to be page 206.
That's the repairs from, remember that accident where the guy ran into the stadium?
So was the insurance claim?
Yes.
Or reimbursement type?
Yes.
Okay, 956430. 956430.
That's where the court, we have to pay them to file everybody's bonds. That's the fees for them filing the bonds, which is a requirement.
Okay, that's annually.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, colleagues? Hearing none, your recommendation, Mr. Bruce.
Interim Superintendent recommends school board approval of the August financial reports and the payment of claims 956-249 to 956-593.
Chair will entertain a motion based upon the interim superintendent's recommendation. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to close this meeting for consideration of executive session.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
She probably wanted to send to the meeting.
Dr. Henry, you busy today? I can't stop running, huh?
these trained with someone? I mean, we're gonna work with this. But it might be useful. I know that, you know, look at this, look at this, at what, but if somebody wanted to have a look at the meeting, you know, and what the agenda was, they'll just be away with it. Mr. Palmer? So have y'all voted to go into session?
Ladies and gentlemen, the district will go in executive session through the board to discuss two items. Item number one is safety and security within the district. And number two is the evaluation of an employee grievance hearing.
Evaluation of
Employee
an
grievance
employee
hearing.
grievance hearing.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then I'm gonna pick up Benny's school. And then I'm gonna go pick up my dog. Oh, no, I'm a rescue dog person. This is one of my pets, the blue rescue. And one of them, I kind of blend to a friend. Hey.
Excuse me, can I get a copy of those pictures?
Yeah, let me see what I can work out, okay? Because I know you want them. But I don't know which ones we're gonna use and that kind of stuff. She did get all of them. She said, yeah,
Why can't somebody just forward me the pictures?
we sell them.
Huh?
We sell them. But well, Mr. Taylor, hold on. I did that for you all, so we can put
It
them in.
doesn't sound like it. But if I can't even get it, I just want them for the kids and for the
Of
school.
course you do, but everyone has a purpose in doing it. Hold on, Mr. Taylor.
It's okay, it's okay.
You
Thank you, I
already
appreciate it.
have them. You already have them. You weren't here to see it all. Was that not Nancy or what? It wasn't like, oh, sure. They used to hire someone to do that. That was Martha. Martha Benny. Yeah, she'd come over here, she'd get it done. School would have them, she'd send them up, but they don't have anyone doing that. So I stood up to make sure that they had some good pictures in the paper. Yeah, she did. Only I broke them off into groups because I couldn't help it. That's why I was going to do this one and that one. People just, these days, just assume that something that we're putting our, investing our money into, that other people are paying for, the advertising, they should just have to pay, not necessarily. Yeah, she worked for the school district. She took the picture. I think there's some out of it. But I'm gonna have to have this cooperation in getting an name for these kids, right? Things like that, I'll go to Ms. Rama.
So what were you saying about your rescue dog?
Do you have dogs?
It's not insurance.
When I fostered, I don't know how many dogs, well over a dozen, in a several-year period. And sometimes they'd be with me for a month, sometimes for 2 months, and then they were being shipped up to New England for people he understand that I work for the newspaper? I'm gonna put those pictures on the paper. He got really rough pretty fast.
I don't know.
I could say, she's got the pictures she took.
I usually, I'm district photographer, so.
Well, you know, Margaret Dean, one of my closest friends, used to do that for the district, and I'm glad they have someone doing it now.
It's three of us.
Yeah. Margaret's position takes 3 people now. But since I had the opportunity to take some, I'm wanting to go on and do it. That's all. I've been doing this since 1975.
I don't know who said anything.
He said, "Can I have some of those pictures, Mr. Taylor?" And I said, "Well, hold on." And he went, and he got his back up really fast, doing it for the kids. Well, I'm doing it for the kids. Why do you think I took the picture? He misunderstood. We'll have to get that straight. I think he was doing it for the Senate. Anyway, that's it all. Somebody talking to me. That's the doctor. So, but I've ended up with 3 of them that I kept. Now, the one that I went to a friend, and I may give him total custody of this dog. It's the best dog I ever had. And he is part Australian cattle dog, and he's got some pit in him. He is the sweetest, smartest, most non-aggressive dog I've ever had. He can climb any fence. His favorite thing to do is figure out how to solve a problem. You know, he wants to boss everyone around. He's just great. He's so much fun. No, I guess he's about 2. Well, the rescue called me and asked me if I could foster. You know, they're all overflowing. They don't have any place to put him in. Okay. They're just slammed. If I could foster him, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'll do that one." What is it? And she said, and she never even saw him. And then there was a doctor up in Massachusetts who thought he might want him. This guy lived on Cape Cod, and he was a bureaucrat, and he was and I said, "You know what? I think he belongs with me." See that dog? They were going to put him, as soon as he got up there, he'd be in a kennel somewhere and not getting out. Having no fun. His name is Buddy LaGrace. No, there are no kill shelters. Hey, Mary, how are you? Hey, how you doing? Hey, I never called Miss Romo about that. I just put it, well, I got all messed. Oh, gosh. Well, I'm talking about people. Oh, I'm sorry. I can still talk about my dogs. They're the best dogs in the world. Hey. Hey, let me walk up.
Attorney Palmer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The board considered 2 executive session matters. One was dealing with safety and security. The board took no action on that particular matter. The board also considered an employee grievance matter. After having the hearing, the board also took no action on that matter. Mr. President.
Thank you, Attorney Palmer. Chair will entertain a motion. There being no further business, Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment. Second, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carried. Please consider yourself dismissed. This meeting is adjourned.